Hello, lovely people. Welcome to Saturday Night Stitch. It's Hila here, and thank you so much for tuning in. So today's post is a browse through of the March 2022 issue of Burda Style, and I'm coming at you from a blustery, windy, storm-ridden north of England over here. So if you're hearing the gusts of wind, it's because we're currently going through Storm Eunice at the moment. But I wanted to show you the flowers that are currently in my garden right now. It's the lovely harbinger of spring, the snowdrop. Very humble, but such a beautiful welcome sight after all of the, this dearth of color that you get during January. I love these little flowers so much because they stubbornly poke through the frozen ground, through the snow, as if to tell you not to give up, to keep your spirits up because spring is on its way. So I'm sending this to you wherever you are, a lovely snowdrop, and let's look forward to some spring sowing. So this is the March issue, which is definitely showing signs of more spring wear, and love the colors. Very bright, very vibrant jewel tones. Quite liked those. And I have to say that there's a lot of Burda are really leveraging towards including more crafting options, and there's a lot of crafting options in this issue, as well as plenty of adverts. So this is the German issue that I'm using, and also something that's quite new is a lot more of the designer stuff, designer inspiration. Although I gotta say, you're not gonna catch me walking down the street with this frou-frou stuff, whatever this is. It's a little bit too high concept for my liking. But so first off, we have the 17 to 21, the petite size, and it's basically it's like a shacket, a cropped shacket, and it's made in like a really thick satiny material over here, which is a very, very shiny. Just had to grab my pencil there. It's very shiny, but it does give you an option of getting like these really clean looking style lines over here. I think that this does have potential, because if you make this in, say, a neutral color, it would easily be a nice layering piece that just adds a bit of edginess. Say you make it in a black linen and you can wear it over a spring dress just as a layer, just adds that edginess to it. So I think it's a good. Not a fan of the shininess of the fabric itself personally, but I do think that it does have a lot of potential. And later on we'll see this same jacket, but it's a longer length one. And to go with that, we have the trousers. Sorry, the trousers are the ones that are the petite size. The cropped jacket is actually a 36 to 44. And that's jacket 108. And these are just very simple, straightforward with your contoured waistband. The only difference is we've got like some stitching detail over here on the hip yoke, which you don't really get a sense of from the picture that they've given, but I guess you could have some fun making this in a contrasting lining. So again, shiny shoes, shiny everything, it's like, yay, shiny, new season is coming, spring. And then we move on to sort of like a slightly pseudo sportsweary sort, and it's this hooded top with a drop shoulder and some gathering at the sleeve here to create some volume, and then you've got the tapering with the cuffs. And I quite like this, oddly enough. On the second browsing when I received it, I actually found myself seeing this being something that I could see myself wearing as loungewear. I think this could be so cute and comfortable in like a floral French terry. So this was one of those that I was like, make a note of to actually wear. And then we've got a great basic top here, which just has got a little bit of extra vavavoom, a little bit of extra juge, or whatever you call it, and it's the gathered sleeve over here. And I have to say, this is the second time that Burda has called something a super easy pattern that I would have to disagree with. When it comes to the knitwear options for Burda, they tend to have their sleeves, they tend to have a very high sleeve cap on it. So if you imagine the sleeve piece, you normally have it go like that, right? This is a Burda, it tends to be quite high, and the ones that are designed for flat construction, they tend to be more like that. So in order for you to have more puffiness here, your sleeve cap needs to be bigger here, which means that you've got more material to ease onto the armscye over here, which is or the armhole over here. And that's quite challenging to do. That is really quite challenging, trying to fit a full sleeve cap, sleeve head, onto the armscye. So I do disagree with the classification that this is a super easy pattern, because you're not going to be able to do this in the flat. You're going to have to sew this up as a tube, do the gathering, and then sew it on as if you were doing a woven, but you're actually dealing with jersey, because this is a jersey top. But that aside, technical details aside of whether it's supposed to be a super easy or not, this is a great basic to have, and it's certainly something that I would consider for my capsule wardrobe. I like the neckline as well. It's just low enough to show the collarbones, but not so low that I have to worry about getting colder, especially as we go into spring. So yeah, quite liked that. And then we've got the first of the dresses. So this was quite a dress heavy issue, which I like because I like dresses. That's my bias. And we have a wrap dress, a full-on proper wrap dress with a tie detail, some bust shaping over here, V neckline, and simple straight sleeves. This is just a great basic formula of a wrap dress, which, you know, is always good to have, I think. And then we have the cocoon style jacket. And I have to say, I was quite surprised. So when I actually saw the preview, I didn't realize that it was the fabric that was creating those stripes. I had actually thought that it's, you know, this is actually a panel pattern piece, and this is a panel, almost like the Mondrian dress, how you actually have to cut out the panel pieces and then sew them up yourself. So I fully thought that that was what it was, but looking at the line drawing, obviously it's the fabric that actually creates that. So it's great fabric pattern placement, and I think this is a great example of how you can use fabric to make something look more intricate, but it's actually quite simple. So in terms of the design lines here, we've got your princess sleeve seam line, and then you've got a drop shoulder, which is going to make it really comfortable to wear. Actually, cocoon style jackets and coats, they tend to be quite comfortable. And then you've just got the slanted pockets. So overall, quite simple design lines, but you really do take it to another level when you use a fabric like this. You know, I thought that this was a good interpretation, and I can see this one being quite a popular style of jacket. And we've got a simple A-line skirt with some patch pockets, and the frilling has been used here. The selvage has been used to great effect to create a Chanel style skirt. But if we look at the back here, the zipper is actually on the asymmetrical princess seam side, which is quite interesting and fun. And then this is another dress that I absolutely liked the look of, because it's got a 70s vibe, and I do like 70s style fashion. So we've got the flattest sleeve, which again, lovely. I don't think that you can ever go wrong with this, especially when you add a trim, which they have done. Although they've done like a lingerie style trim, that's not what I would personally go for. I prefer my trims to be a bit more substantial, less wispy, less light. I like them to add some weight to the hem of the fabric, if that makes sense. And I feel like that gives the movement more structure, like it grounds the movement more, whereas with these lighter weight trimmings, it's a little bit too fly away for my personal taste. So I would probably go with like crochet, you know, those little crochet lacy type things. But again, cute dress, and you could easily remove the shoulders over here. Sorry, not shoulders, the sleeves. Sorry, English is not my first language. You could easily remove the sleeves and you still have like a really lovely style dress. So this was a cute one, I thought. And over here this is the featured sewing lesson. It's a nice color, great contrast here that they've used with the pockets. Reminds me of the Chanel skirts. And then we've got the kids section has been paired up with like a mommy and me, like where you get to twins. So we have that top again. It's in a slightly thicker fabric this time round, a textured fabric, and the leftovers have been used to make a sweater. a little boy sweater here, and this is in sizes 116 to 114. Very useful sweater to have because it's got the extra long neck. Although I personally find that my boys, they love to have hoodies. So it's sort of like you can easily adapt that to add a hoodie. And we've got the wrap dress again, but this time the sleeves have had volume added to them. And we've got tapering here just to give that voluminous feel to the sleeve. And you can see that over here. So very simple lines, very classic. And this is one of the few times where they've used like a brown earthy gingham. And I thought that it's very suited to this particular style. Or seersucker, like this would look so great in seersucker gingham. Fabulous. The other thing that we have is a very simple top with a very high neckline because you can't even see the collarbones or the bottoms of the collarbones, but we've got the puff sleeves, and we have the puff sleeves over there. And the puff sleeves, I didn't actually quite realize how lovely and flattering they are until there was a pattern, I think it was in July 2020 or 2021, and it was just a really gorgeous dress which had exactly this upper bit, but it had some bodice shaping here, and then it was just like a skirt. And these, they just looked so nice, and it was quite popular and really well received. So definitely worth checking these out, is what I've told myself in my head. And then we've got a trench coat, which I'm currently looking for a trench coat for my spring capsule wardrobe. So I want one in navy. I've been toying with the idea of making one, but I'm also looking on eBay to see if I can buy one sort of before I put in all of the effort that it would take to make a trench coat, to see if it's something that would actually suit me. But I thought that this would be the perfect sort of trench coat for me because it's only got the one gun flap right over here, which gives it just a little bit of something different to look at. Because I do want the trench coat, but I don't want it to be just like classic trench coat. I want it to have something that's just a little bit different. And I feel like it having just the one adds a little bit of that difference to it. So I was like, this is definitely something that I will consider. So I'd be looking at either making it in a navy or in spruce, which are my neutrals, or a gray, but I'm not too sure about the gray, but quite like that. And for the boys, we've got a jacket with an integrated hoodie, which is a very interesting concept. I don't think this would be a lot of fun to wash up and iron because, yeah, interesting. And it's also a masterpiece level. Whoa. 4-dot. Whew, I feel like this is, for me, this is asking a lot to do a 4-dot pattern for my kids, and they just go through growth spurts like crazy. My oldest son, I've had to buy him some new football boots and some new school trousers, and he's only been in school since September of last year. That's when I got him the new. So the growth spurts that make me worry of doing 4-dot patterns for kids. Okay, and then we've got, I love this. So I like A-line skirts, and I've done a lot of self-drafting around A-line skirts, so I do have a little bit of a bias. But what I really like about this that made me think my next thing that I make using my sloper for an A-line skirt, I like the addition of the little belt loops and the little belt there with the bow detail. I just think that it's so cute. So cute. And separately, I'm seeing these frill neck blouses everywhere. It's just crazy how this has just become such a trend. And then we have a very 1980s style fabric in a very, this is a very, I wasn't very enamored with this top. There are a lot of things that I feel like just don't work for me. So you have the cutaway sleeve here, which you can see on there. And then you've got this pleated detail. I'm not sure what that adds to it. And then you've also got the box pleat at the front as well. And then more egregiously, in my opinion, is adding a zip right at the back. I don't know, you guys let me know, what do you think about this? To me it feels like it reminds me very much of what Coco Chanel says about how before you step out, remove the last thing that you took off, like less is more. I feel like with this one, less would have been more, like possibly remove the pleating over here. I don't think that it just adds anything, and remove the box pleat and just let the fabric sing on its own. So yeah, this one, I love the fabric on this, like the high contrast fabric, really beautiful, and I can just imagine how that viscose really drapes and moves around. But other than that, it is a very simple style. What does add a little bit of chicness to it is that it's got the covered button placket, which if you've ever sewn a shirt or a shirt dress that's got a covered button placket versus one that doesn't, there's just something so chic and elegant about a dress that's fastened at the center, but you're not seeing the fastening. There's just something about it. So yeah, and it's got there's an indication that if you use the lighter fabric here, these pleats are deep enough to possibly create the feel of a poofier sleeve, but you can't quite see it because they've used a viscose on here. But lovely representation. This is the tall pattern, by the way, and with the leftover fabric you make a Hawaiian shirt for your son because you want to relive the Magnum PI days. Because remember Tom Selleck, he used to wear these Hawaiian shirts. I used to love those 80s TV shows. Okay, and then we have the shacket. The shacket. A jacket, which is also a shirt. So it's called the shacket, which I think is the most innocuous name for something ever. But there we go. That is what it's called. And that's just because it's like a shirt worn as a jacket because you're using a much thicker fabric. In this case, you're using, this looks like 16 or 12 whale cord, which wow, it looks very, very chunky. I'm not personally a very big fan of corduroy. Each time I've worn corduroy, I've always thought I'd look a certain way, but then pictures tell me otherwise. But yeah, try it in a plaid. So the only times I've seen a shacket and I've liked it personally has been in a plaid. So there we go. And then we've got a lot of crafting stuff, which takes me back to the vintage Burda, the vintage Burdas of old that had a lot more crafting projects included in them, and there's a lot of styling stuff. And then over here we move on to the spotty section, wherein we've got those trousers from the beginning with the hip yoke, but they've been spottified, and you know, she's like mid stride or mid hurdles in the city because she's running to work or something like that. There's a lovely, very energetic, very inspiring image there. And then we've got that jacket, but this time it's been made in a patterned fabric, and you can see the very utilitarian lines of it. And I have to say that it does remind me a lot of what we're seeing in shops on the high street, particularly here in England anyway. A lot of this really just straight, you know, very plain looking designs that are quite oversized, very, very oversized and hanging off of the shoulder. And that's what that reminds me of. And then we had that top that we talked about earlier with the sleeve cap that creates this nice little sleeve over here, except for it's now a dress in a woven fabric, and it's quite long, and they've belted it because, like, the belts, they just add so much they add so much shaping. They can change the look of an outfit very quickly. So I thought that that's quite nice with the extra long cardigan over here. So, you know, very simple, very straightforward, a little bit of shaping here on the bust, and there you go. And then we've got an interesting sort of tracksuit jacket, athleisure style, with these really dropped shoulder yoke integrated, and then you've got the sleeves over it. So this is the type of top that when you lift your arms up, it also goes up as well, because you don't have your sleeve going all the way up to your underarm. So that's why I think it's more of a sporty top. Not a big fan of the fabric that they have used, but I'd be curious to see what turns up with this particular style here. And then we've got another cute A-line skirt. Gosh, I do love A-line skirts. Like, the more I see them, the more I'm just like, I need to go make another A-line skirt for myself. And then we've got a dress here. It's a very simple shift dress with Dior darts, and very reminds me of those vintage 60s patterns. And this pattern, it was in, oh, I think it was September 2020. This exact dress was in September 2020. But it's got a belt that looks like it's got an elastication with it. Lovely use of boucle tweed. I like the layering, showing how practical it could be for a person like me who's cold intolerant to wear this in winter, layered with thermals over here. The only bit where they lose me is the bare legs, because the skin, my skin on my legs doesn't see light until, I don't know, maybe April or something. And then we've got some ruching, relaxed look in a beautiful, really gorgeous jewel tone fabric. I love the coolness of this fabric. So not only do we have the cowl neck to just add that draping over there, we also have some ruching here, detail, to add more texture. And we've got the ruching down the side here, which just creates this illusion of decadence and volume. I think it's lovely, absolutely lovely. Something that I would wear for spring. Not for spring, sorry, for summer. For spring, I still need to have layers, because the spring in the north of England is still quite a cold spring. And then we've got that lovely, interesting looking hoodie, this time in a bold print with the neon. There's a lot of neons coming through, and I've noticed that even with patrones and even with nip mode, neon seems to just be everywhere. And here we have another neon interpretation of a dress, and this dress, it reminds me of the 80s style. So we've been watching the Christopher Reeve Supermans. Those were actually made in the 1980s, so the fashion in there is actually of the 1980s. And it's quite interesting that a lot of the 80s dresses, they seem to have this like wide scarf tie thingy that's put around either the hip or the waist detail. So when I saw that, it instantly reminded me of that, coupled with the use of the neon colors. It's like, oh, we're doing the fashion is cycling back thing. But yeah, I like the V neckline. I feel like it creates a lovely contrast. I like the fact that they've used it layered on here. Personally, I don't like things that add more around the waistline. I like it when a waistline is just nice and sleek and unobstructed, unless maybe you've got a belt. But I feel like adding ruching or folds or whatever like this over the waistline, yeah, not a big fan. But beautiful tailoring otherwise on here, really beautiful. And then we've got another tutorial for a bag over here, some styling ideas. I think that this is the color of the year, isn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that this is the Pantone color of the year, because I've been seeing it pop up everywhere. And then we've got perfumes. I love the perfume section. I'm getting this for my birthday. I'm so excited. Yeah. So we have this pattern as the tutorial. As you can see, this has got a lot of pattern pieces, They always scare me when they have a lot of pattern pieces. Okay, so this is the reader submitted pattern, and it is, again, I get the very 80s style vibe because of the asymmetry, whereby you're missing the sleeve, and then you've got the padding around the waist here, of which, you know, part of me just feels like, oh, can we take the padding out, please? But yeah, interesting, and I would love to see what people come up with this one. For me personally, if I had to make it, I would take that off and I just have it like that. But beautiful beautiful colors, I think. No, sorry, this isn't a reader insertion. No, I think that this is the designer one. Fascinating that. And then we've got the Havana Calling section, which is a throwback to Cuba. And we have a lovely kaftan style dress over here in a khaki green kind of viscose jersey. We have some epaulettes style thingy added to just give it a little bit of a military flavor. And we have the gathering over here. I got some Greco-Roman vibes on this, and I think that it's just a nice classic look. Maybe not so much for spring, but for summer, definitely. And how gorgeous is this shirt dress? I think that this shirt dress is goals. It's a really beautiful shirt dress, especially with the lapel, I think they're called rivers. And you've got the bust that's for shaping, and then you've got the pocket with the pocket covers. And yeah, I thought that this is a really, really gorgeous shirt dress, and I think that that's going to be popular. The dress has been cut into a top, showing us how you can easily convert a dress into a top, or vice versa. And this time it's in a solid, and you can see that we've got the elastic casing here on the empire waist that goes all the way down there. And then we've got that dress that we saw before. It was much longer. This time we shorten it, and we use a slightly thicker fabric, and you can have yourself a nice relaxed jacket that you can wear as a layering piece. Fantastic, a very versatile pattern. And we've got some wide leg trousers here with just a little bit of detail at the waist and nice little tie belt over there in mustard. Beautiful. I like this deep hem effect. I know it's probably not a hem, it's actually two separate pattern pieces, but it creates the illusion of a deep hem, which is always a nice thing. And we've got a placket top. I've seen this pattern before, but I think it's in like a 2009 issue or something, but made in linen with the stripe. So the stripe on the bib front is going horizontal, and everywhere else it's vertical, and I think that it is absolutely lovely. Nice simple top pullover, quick and easy to make, like that. Oh, except for the tie details here. I hadn't noticed the tie details. Very impractical, but never mind. And then a two-piece suit using that jacket with a stripy fabric, a stripy viscose, so you can make it with the jacket and the trousers. And lovely, you're ready for cocktail hour. And we've got a trench coat as well, which is a masterpiece pattern, and it does look masterfully done. It's got all of the details of your traditional MAC. You've got the gun flap, and you've got the flaps at the back. This one is a raglan sleeve, which is going to be more comfortable, more roomy. And you've got the nice collar, and you've got the epaulettes, and you've got the sleeve belts, the welt pockets, and it's double-breasted, everything. You want to challenge yourself to make yourself a classic piece that's going to be a part of your wardrobe for the rest of your fashion life. This, and it's so beautifully tailored. And basically this color is very similar to sort of the spruce color that I'm trying to get my hands on in terms of finding fabric to actually make myself layers that fit in with the neutrals of my capsule wardrobe. Well, there we go, lovelies. It's taken a bit longer than I thought, but it turns out I had a lot to say about this issue. I didn't expect it to get up to nearly 30 minutes, but thank you so much for staying. If you've stayed until the end, you rock. I appreciate you. And hopefully you found the video interesting, fun, informative, entertaining, and kept you company for the last half hour or so. And if you did, please hit the like button. I appreciate it very much. And do let me know, are you going to be making anything from this issue? So for me, as I said, the trench coat number 113 is a big thumbs up for me. I love the look of number 121. Unlikely that I'll have the time to make it, but inspired very much by the A-line skirts So really fantastic. Do let me know, what are you going to be making from this issue? Have you made anything, or is this issue like a bit of a meh for you? I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments down below. And until I see you next time, lovely people, happy sewing. Bye.